All right. Good morning, everybody. Today's Daf Yomi. So we left off on the top of Yomi, Amud Aleph. So we said we were talking about differences between the different fasts. So differences. So we say that the whole question arose from the fact that we were discussing at what point did he say Anenu? Was it inserted over by Shomei Tefillah? Was it its own bracha? And then we said, well, it can't be 19 because it's its own bracha in certain cases because it's Tzibur, because there was 24 tefillos. So he said, no, the 24 tefillos, it depends on in terms of which series of fasts that we were discussing. So Amar, we are, I guess, 3 lines on the top. Yeah, does that make sense? 3 lines on the top. So Amar Rabashi. So Masnisa Nami Dika. So from the Mishnah, we can also be Meduyak. Our Mishnah says, Ma Elu Yiseris Al Rishonos, that the last 7 are more than the first 3, than the 3 before that. Ma Elu Yiseris Al Rishonos, El Shbe'elu Masri V'Noilin Esachan Banios. That for these, they go ahead and smells good. What is that? Yeah.
French vanilla.
Perfect. French vanilla is perfect. Thank you. Just a small 8 ounce. Thank you. So it says ma. So we say it over there. So so rather the last ones, right? They go ahead and they cry out in the streets. We'll soon see what that means. And they lock up the stores. But it seems like everything else that they are the same. And they are the same. In other words, if the last ones, they're saying 24 brachos, and the middle ones should have also 24 brachos. So maybe you say, okay, in this case, Tana V'Shire. So maybe you're talking about when we said over there that these are the differences. Maybe you left out a couple of things that were also different, right? He says these are it specific. You can't. That's not a lashon that usually leaves things out. And it says ma'elu and doesn't leave things out. Ma'elu dafkahu. It doesn't mention that they bring out the aron into the streets and they take it outside. So no, if you want to say that was left out, so that's not considered to be something that was left out. Because that was something mentioned in the next parak. Since it's mentioned in the next parak, we don't need to mention it now. And hash the haki, but now that you come into the teretz, also the 24 brachos are also mentioned in the next paragraph also. So therefore, it doesn't need to be mentioned here. And therefore, you could say it was left out here. But really, it is a difference between the middle ones and the middle 3 tiny fast days and the last 7. So my haviola no. So what is the maskana? Where does the yachid say, right? So where does the yachid go ahead and say, is this creamer?
No?
I can give it someone else to get creamer. Just black.
You want black?
Yeah. Don't pour it out. Yeah.
French vanilla, right?
Black,
Just-
don't go
yeah.
back.
Just a regular black coffee. Yeah, thank you. All right, so we say,
Black Friday.
yeah. So he says, so my havila. So Rav Shmuel bar Sastrutai, v'chein Amar Rav Chia bar Ashi, Amar Rav, bein Goel l'Roifei. We say it as his own bracha between Goel Yisrael and Roifei Chol Yom Yisrael, right? So we say it over there as its own bracha. Rav Ashi Amar Mishmei Rav Yana Yachid is Mikabel L'Tana is Devei Rav Yishmael Shomei Tefillah. He says in Shomei Tefillah, the Hilchos of Shomei Tefillah. And the halacha is that you say it in Shemeya Tefillah is where Yachi goes ahead and inserts the Tefillah of Anenu. Fine. 2 dots. So Tani Chada. So we have one brise that says Ubrais Menikos Misanos. So in regards to the fast days, the series of fast days of 3, 3, and 7. So the Ubrais, the women that are either pregnant or nursing, Misanos Berishonos, Ve'en Misanos Bachronos. So we have one brisa that says they fast in the first set, but they don't fast in the second one. But Tani, another brisa says misanos bachronos, they fast in the latter one, misanos berishonos, and they don't fast in the first series.
What about the middle? So the middle is like the
3-3-7. So yeah. So right now it's 3-3. Right. There's 3 fasts that are public fasts, right? In addition to the Yechidim, right? So it's 3-3-7. So one Bryce says, so do pregnant women, do they fast? So one Bryce says in the first one, in the last ones they do, but they don't do in the first one. Or did I skip a line? No, I read the wrong order in the Gemara. I lost my place, right? So first one says, right? I'll start it again for the They fast. Thank you. They fast in the first ones, but they don't do the later ones. But Tanya, another Bryce says, Misanas Bachronos. They go ahead and they fast in the last ones, but they don't do it in the middle ones. Or excuse me, in the first ones. But Tanya, the third Bryce says, they don't fast not in the first ones and not in the last ones. So how do you reconcile this? So Ravashi, you can go ahead if you include if you say there's actually 3 series of fasts, and the one that, and you always refer to the middle one as the one that they do fast. In other words, first of all, as far as like this, the first ones, it's not as severe yet, so therefore we don't want them fasting. The last series, the last 7, we don't want them fasting because it's already too much. Mm-hmm. So the middle ones are on their fasts, and therefore the way to reconcile is when it says the first one they fast and the last one they don't. So that's referring to fast sets 2 and 3, right? Because the sets 2 and then the sets 3 is with the 7th fast, right? So that's what we're talking about. When it says they fast in the first, they don't fast in the first, but they fast in the second. That's referring to they don't fast in the first 3, but they fast in the middle 3. And when it says they don't fast in the first, they don't fast in the last, is referring to the first 3 and then the last 7, but the middle 3 they do fast. So therefore, you can explain the brisa in that way, or the brisas in that way, in order they do not contradict one another. Rather, they're just referring to when it says first and last. It can be referenced to a different series on each one.
Amen.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Ma Eli Seiros, I'll be showing us Elu Masrin Venoilin Sachamenios. So what is more about the last 7 than the other than the middle 3, right? So you say that these they go ahead and Masrin and they lock up their store shops. So my Masrin, with what way are they Masrin, right? So Rav Yehuda Amar b'shofros, right? From the word Shrua, right? They go ahead, they blow the shofar. Rav Yehuda Bereda Shmuel Bar Shiles Mishred Rav Amar ba'anenu. They scream out, not scream out with the shofar, rather they scream out the anenu, right? Through tefillos. So So the Havamina right now is to think that the one who says the Anenu, they don't do shofars. And the one who says they blow the shofar, go ahead and scream out Anenu, Tani Raisa. Ein Poischin the Shiva Tanios Alatzibur. Shebahan Yurches Hasros. Vesela Dover Yericho. We don't have less. Once you start the last fast, you have to complete the 7th fast because we don't find that they have 18 Hasros, right? And the way to remember is that they had by Yericho there were 18. The Yericho shofros havi, and by Yerichos there were shofros. So we see over here that the Farish, it says that they blew the shofar. So according to the opinion who says Anenu, right, the Batshrin mean over there that it means Anenu than a shofar. It says this brisa clearly they blew the shofar. We've chosen the Anenu. Rather, everybody agrees that when it calls it Yom Hasrav or Matrin, it's referring to Shofros. So Kipligi, when do they argue Banenu? Right? When they're referring to Anenu by other types of fast, not necessarily with the rain, but other types of fast, Banenu, Hasra. So over there, when they call Hasra by other fasts, it could be that they just say Anenu. And the other one says, no, it's not called Hasra. Therefore, it says Yom Hasra. It's referring to blowing the shofar also for other types of calamities. So the man Banenu calls Shem b'shofars. And the opinion it says that Banenu is certainly b'shofars. Well, the man b'shofars, but the opinion who holds the shofars, and Banenu low. But according to the other opinion who says they blow the shofar, then for other calamities they only blow the shofar, but not Anenu. They don't scream out at all. The Gemara says, is that the case? But Tani, we go to Brisa. The other types of calamities, when the people go ahead and they gather, could go in chichuch, right? When people have some sort of boils and they need to go ahead and scratch themselves against the wall, or chagav or locust, zivuv, right? The tzira, the tushin, right? And wasps and mosquitoes and gnats, the shiluach, nechashim, akravim, or snakes and scorpions, loy hayim masrin, elat soakim. They wouldn't go ahead and blow elat soakim. Now, so it says over there they wouldn't blow, rather they would scream out in terms of tefillah. So we see very clearly as referring to soakim. Obviously, screaming out means screaming out with tefillah. So what does the word masrin mean? The word masrin obviously means to blow the shofar. So you see that it means to only blow the shofar masrin. So the Gemara answers no, Tanai. Really, it's a machlokes Tanaim. Ditani below in the Brayso al elu masrin b'Shabbos. For these we are masrin on Shabbos. Al ir shekufa gayas. So in a city that basically has to be felt a siege from another army, a nahar, or maybe a river that is threatening to flood the town, the alsvina, meturefes b'yam, or a boat or a ship that's sinking out at sea. And Rabbi Yossi Yomer le'azara, he says when you scream out, it means le'azara for help. They call help, but we don't ruin Shabbos for a gathering Yom Tefillah for that ship.
Does that include the people on the ship? Or is that
right? I don't know.
Ruin Shabbos, he just drowned.
Right. Right. Rashi says, "Lo tzaka tefillah she'enan betuchim kol kach shetoyot tefillah letzak alev Shabbos." Right. In other words, they don't go ahead unless they know it's going to help. They don't necessarily make Shabbos a day of Yom Tefillah. So now, b'mai. So what are we talking about? The tzaka. We say over there, right? Ein masrin b'Shabbos al ir. Right. We talk about ein masrin al Shabbos. What does it mean? If we're talking about blowing the shofar on Shabbos, Shabbos bishari. Can you blow the shofar on Shabbos? Ella v'anenu. Rather, it's referring to a case of anenu v'kar asra. And over there, it uses a lashon of elu masrin b'Shabbos. So therefore, shmamina. Indeed, we see that it's a machlokes tanaim as to the word matrin. Does it only refer to shofars, or could also potentially mean that it means tzaka b'peh?
We would say anenu on Shabbos.
Over here, yeah, it was referring to tzaka.
The anenu tefillah is inserted in Shomei tefillah. We don't say that.
This is so the Bryce over there talks about so it says we do tzaka, right? We scream out, we cry out, we have communal gatherings.
Okay.
Right. So, but the point is that whatever tefillos were said, you do not do matrin, ein matrin. Matrin was referring to blowing a trua with shofros. So that was a proof that the word matrin can be referenced to also only whether it's shofar or anenu. So it's the same or tefillah. And over here, it's saying that you don't even do tefillah, because to say you don't do shofar is not even a havamim. So that was the point there. Ein matrin, that we don't go ahead and so he says we don't bring matria for sfina, but other things we do. So we see matrin is referring to tzaka is tefillah, is tzaka.
So where would we say? So where would we say anenu?
No, it's not referring to. It's not necessarily referring to anenu. It's if there's a calamity, if the city is threatened to be flooded, to be right. So so over there we say those things were matrin on Shabbos. Okay,
so
we're matrin on Shabbos.
Tefillah, it's not shofar.
Right. So that was the proof that we brought this Bryce in to show that the word matrin doesn't just necessarily mean to blow a shofar. It means that it also could be a tefillah b'tzaka b'peh.
You just say a name outside of that.
Right. So whatever tzaka b'peh it was, right. Whatever, however they did it, their tzaka b'peh, that's what they did on Shabbos.
Wow.
Fine. Yeah.
Okay. I don't
see
where it would be inserted. But
but it doesn't necessarily mean anenu. It doesn't necessarily mean anenu in the tefillah of Shemei tefillah. Right. It doesn't. It could be avinu malkeinu. It could be other gatherings of types of tefillos for. Right. For that.
I guess you could say it.
Fine. All right. So we're at the bottom of so two dots at the bottom lines of B'shani, Rabbi Yehuda Nasiya, and anyone has to leave the plan to Shabbos to finish the parak. So B'shani, Rabbi Yehuda Nasiya, Havitzara. then so during the years of Rabbi Yehuda and Sia, there was a certain issue going on. Was not rain. So Gozar Talas Esrei Tanios. So he was Geyser 13 fasts. They had, I guess, 337. And they weren't answered yet. So Savarlam Migzar Tfei, you want to go ahead and be Geyser more days of fast. So Rabami, no, we no more than 13 fasts. Some Rabba, so I guess Rabbi, the son of Rabbi Chia Barabbas, I guess he's friends with Rabbi. He says with Rabami, he says Rabami, right? He's doing it for himself. He doesn't want to fast again. So he's saying, you know what? We don't do more than 13 fasts on Tzibur. Only when it comes to Geshamim, right? When it comes to the rains, then we only have 13 fasts. Aval Sharmi Paranis, but others of perennial plagues, Misanin, Vahochin, Achinum in the Shemaim. Then we go ahead and we fast and we go until they are answered from the heavens. And Tani Nami Hach, he's when we say Shalosh Shamra Sheva, when we say go ahead and fast additional 3 and additional 7, only for fast. Sharmi Paranis, Masin, Vahochin, Achianu. They go ahead and they fast additional days until they're answered. So let me to you to Rabami. So it's a kasha Rabami. Rabami says no. Tonight it's a machlokes tonight as to whether you have additional fast beyond the 13. The Tanya Luna, right? Saying goes in Yosef Mishloshes right? Tanya Sal Tzibur Lefisha Ein Matrichas Tzibur Yosef Midai. Tzibur Rebbe says Rebbe, we don't have more than 13 fasts on the Tzibur because it's too much. That's it. Says no, because if you fast beyond 13, the rain that comes that late in the year is no longer helpful. So there's no point in fasting for the rain. So it sounds like, according to Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, that the only time we limit the fasting to 13 is for the rains. But if it was for other calamities, then you would have an additional fast. But according to Rebbe, he says, no, we're not matriach l'tzibur. It doesn't matter if it's rain, doesn't matter if it's corona, doesn't matter if it's anything. It's right. That's when it stops. Fine. Sholchule b'nei Ninveh. So those from Ninveh, the Rebbe, Kagoyim, honor about us. They are feeling to Tammuz being a mitra by us that we need the rain even in the summer. Hechi Navid. How do we go ahead and say Anenu? Kichidim Daminan. Are we like Yechidim and say it during when Yechidim say it? Karabim Daminan. Now, or we like the rabbin. Now, is our town considered to be a bunch of Yechidim, or are we already rabbin? Are we like a Yach, and therefore we're saying b'shmet tefillah? Okay, rabbin daminan, or we like the rabbin b'chas hashanim, and we make it his own bracha. So shalach lu ki Yechidim damisu. So he said to them, the answer, no, you guys like Yechidim. Uv'shemei tefillah, and you say it in shemei tefillah. So meis v'yasir kashem Rabbi Yehuda emasai. When do we say this? Bisvan shanim kesignon. This is when the years and the weather is normal, is the way it's supposed to be appropriate. And Israel is, they're in charge of the land. But now, now when the weather is different, right? Global warming, right? Whatever is different. Everything is like its place. So certain places needed the rain then, other places, don't have the rain during this season. And whatever is normal for that place is considered to be the norm. So therefore, you see that if it's a norm in that place, it should be said it's for the seaboard, and therefore the seaboard should be said in Birchas Hashanim, right? It should be its own bracha. You're asking a kasha on Rebbe from this brisa. Rebbe Tanu Polig, right? Rebbe is on the level, he's a Tana, going to argue. Fine. So my Havila, okay, so what's the maskana? So Omar, so Rav Nachman Omar Birchas Hashanim, he says it is said during Birchas Hashanim, it's its own bracha. Rav Shishon Omar B'Shemei Tefillah, and Rav Shishon says B'Shemei Tefillah, V'Hochas B'Shemei Tefillah. And the halach is that it is said like Yechidim, if it's a town like Ninveh or something that needs its rain, but it hasn't gotten a rain season, then they say it like Yechidim. Fine. Then we say, the Sheni Matis, we said, okay, last the set of 7 fasts is the most severe. You got to close down the work. But however, Mondays, right, leave it open, towards the end, people need, to get food to break their fast. In Chamishi, and Thursday, leave them open. So you leave it open because of cover Shabbos. People need to go ahead and buy for Shabbos. So
Wait.
Yeah.
Even though we're fasting 7, it's still Monday, Thursday.
Yes, Monday, Thursday. Yeah. It's always Monday, Thursday. Now, so what does it mean? Do we say the fasts are? Oh man! All right. Yeah. So do we say so? So what are we saying here? So the beis matin im chashecha on Monday we go ahead and we basically we open the doors a little bit, right? And on Thursday we also partially open the door, but partially open all day. Oh, Dilmar, maybe the sheni matin over there. On Monday we open the door towards the end of the day, right? But on Thursday it's completely open. In other words, do we say that on Monday, just like Monday evening is a partial opening? Right, we only open the door, not completely open. Right, we just unlock the door, but we don't, put up signs and all that. Or do we say that it's completely open, right, on Thursday all day, or is it just partially open all day on Thursday?
We're talking about the stores.
The stores, yeah. So Tashbak, come listen. The title of the Brayso b'Sheni Matin ad erev v'chamishi paiskin kolayim kulo. We pray cover the shops. We say it on Monday, right? We partially open and towards the evening, and on Yom Chamishi. And on Thursday, it's completely open the entire day. And Hayula Shnei Psachim, it had 2 entrances. Paiseach Echad V'Neil Echad, right? One is open, and one we leave closed on days that when it's partially open. In other words, Monday evening. And Hayula Itztaba, if there's sort of a bench in front, Keneged Pischai, Paiseach Kedak V'Necheshesh. You can leave it out there. We're not Cheshesh that it's blocking the rabbim, even though it's not completely open. But you can go ahead and leave it out in front of the door. Fine. If these days pass and it was there unanswered, if they still weren't answered, then we minimize, right, the building, we minimize the planting, right, and so on and so forth. And those those continue to go ahead and fast and cry out. So Tana Kabinyan, when it says Binyan Simcha, that which we stop binyan means not you're building construction for work, rather it means binyan shel simcha, right? Building a natiyah and planting is natiyah shel simcha. Also plantings are simcha. So ezu binyan shel simcha. So what is a binyan shel simcha? Zabayna buys chanas lebana, right? He's building a house, for a wedding hall for a son to go ahead and get married. And ezi natiyah shel simcha was a planting of simcha. Zanoteya Avernaki Shamlachim, right? They used to go ahead and plant trees when a king had a son, right? They go ahead and plant the trees, and basically that tree would grow up, and when that son would become the king, then they would basically go ahead and use the wood from that tree as the throne for the new king. We don't say Shalom Aleichem to others. The Tanra Baran, Chaverim ein Shalom b'neihem. Right, the Chaverim, the Talmid Chachamim, they know not to go ahead and say Shalom Aleichem to one another. However, those that are not familiar with halacha, Shalim, those who go ahead and ask, Machzirin lehen b'safa rabba v'kavei rosh. Right, then you can reply, but in a lower voice and a very down mood. And they sit and then they wrap themselves up and they sit like a velim, like a person who is basically rejected by Hashem, until that there is a mercy upon them from Hashem. And Omar Rebbe Elazar, ein adam chashuv rashay lipol al panov. Right, it's not a person who's a chashuv person should not go ahead and fall and daven and throw himself out. Elim kenena ki Yoshu benun, unless he knows he's going to be answered like Yoshu benun. Because if he goes ahead and throws himself out and davens and he's not answered, then people will mock him. But Yoshu benun, he was answered. Shenamar says, "Vayomer Shem el Yeshua kum lech lama ze'ata neifel panecha." He says, "Go, why do you fall on your face?" And that was his tefillah. He was answered. The Amar Rabbi Elazar, a person should not go ahead and wear sackcloth unless he knows he's going to be answered like Yehiram ben Achav. Shemar, the pasuk says, "Vayikshma hamelech es divrei ha'isha vayikras begadav v'oiver al chayma vayara ha'am v'hinei hasak al basaro." It says when the king heard, but they saw that he tore his clothing. They saw he was wearing sackcloth, and then he was answered, and it immediately changed. So since he was answered, so there it was assured. So therefore, only one who knows he's answered, he should go ahead and put on sackcloth. The Omar Rebbe Elazar the kriya of lo hakol benefila. Not everyone should go ahead and does kriya and tearing, and not everyone does nefilas nafil panav. So Moshe and Aaron benefila. Moshe and Aaron they prostrated, right? They fell on their face. right? They Shuva Kalev B'Kriya, and they tore their clothing. Moshe Aaron ben Afila, says Vayipol Moshe Aaron al Paneim. Right? They fell on their faces, and Yeshua Kalev B'Kriya, and they tore, right, when they heard the Meragin, the Chsid says V'Yeshua B'Nun V'Kalev B'Nifuna Karubig Dam. They tore their clothes. So Masker Rav Zeir Rav Yitem Rav Shmuel Bar Nachmani Ihavi Ksiv Yoshua Kedamarta. If it just said Yoshua B'Nun V'Kalev, it would be like you said. But Hash Ksiv V'Yoshua, the extra vav Hava Ha of it means not only did they do Kriya, but they're also Neufel Al Paneim. Now we have a similar drasha with an unrelated matter. So the Gemara brings in, not everyone will greet the gula standing or bowing down. Malachim Bekima, the kings will greet Bekima standing. The Saran, the officers, with bowing down. Malachim Bekima, the pasuk says, Ko Amar Hashem Goyel Yisrael, is Hashem Goyel Yisrael, Kedosha Levzeh, right? Pasuk of Yeshai, it says, Kedosho Levzeh Nefesh Lemisav Goyel Le'eved, Maishlin Malachim Yuru V'Kamos. It says over there to those people who are downtrodden, right? Those people who are ruled by other nations, right? The kings, right? They will see and they will stand, right? The Sarim Vishtachva, the Chsiv Sarim Vishtachva, and then the officers will bow, right? They'll bow down to the Goel Yisrael. And Master Rav Zeir Rav Yitem Rav Shmuel Bar Nachmani Ihavi Chsiv the Sarim Yishtachavu. If it says the Sarim Yishtachavu, just Yishtachavu, Kedamarta, like you said, officers only bow, and the kings will stand. However, Sarim V'Yishtachavu, the officers and will bow down. It means Havahavi. Not only will they bow down, but they'll also stand. And finally, Amar Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak, Afani Omer, I say similar to Rabbi Elazar, Loi Kol Oira. Not everyone will be zeichet to see the Oira, the light. Like call it simcha, not everyone to see the true simcha. Tzadikim the aira, the yisharim the simcha. Right, the tzadikim will see the aura, and the yisharim, those who are straight and upright and honest, will see simcha. Tzadikim the aira chsiv aura zarula tzadik. Right, this says light is for those who are for tzadik. Uyisharim simcha, and the yisharim will have simcha. The chsiv uyisharim simcha. Those who are upright will have simcha. So Hajr and Allah. So Sunday, Mitzvah will start at